This is the case that I'm going to make for Wrenching Whip being a part tactics weapon. I had been saying this since 1.4, I think, when I did my tier list. Here's my reasoning. So Wrenching Whip will do really well in tactics builds because you get the initiative thing, you get the schema, you get a lot of things. And you might be thinking, okay, then why not just make everything part tactics? Sure, but the thing about tactics is that it's all about positioning, right? So Valmont's Whip is tactics. Electric Whip is tactics. So, ergo, Wrenching Whip should be tactics. All the whip weapons should be tactics because it's all about positioning at the end of the day for these. So Wrenching Whip is basically it's 2 hits and then a third critical hit that isn't that is more powerful than the other 2. But the caveat is that the Wrenching Whip, works like other whip weapons. So like Valmont Whip, for example, what you can do with it's pretty cool actually. So with Valmont Whip, you can hit enemies that are shielded, so like shield bearers, thornies, that sort of thing. You can hit enemies from behind, so thornies, the ground shakers, and caverns, which I'll actually be showing you guys. And it also, like, the critical hit strike, it works as a regular melee weapon, but the first 2 are more ranged, which again is why it should be part tactics. So this is a colorless build, so I could achieve this. Of course, the way I could also just have a regular Wrenching Whip and then just decide, oh, okay, let's just wait until we get a cursed one or a legendary one from no hitting the boss. But because curse chests are minimal in this game, or in 1.5, I can't really do that, so I'd have to get pretty lucky. So that's essentially the plan, is we're just going to run a colorless build. The stats looked a little weird at first. I know it said like 9, 10, and 1, but the thing about colorless scrolls is that they actually dynamically increase with your scroll output. So in this case, it started off at 9, 1, and 1, just because on these colorless builds, the default is going to be for brutality. But then once you start getting scrolls, then it evens out. So that's why you see now it's at 11, 3, or 3, 11, and 1. And of course, you could also say, why not just run survival? Well, that's not the point. The point is so I can make my case so that Wrenching Whip will be part tactics in 1.6. Because that is really what I'm gunning for right now. Whether or not this falls on deaf ears, I have no idea, but probably. But I really would like to see that happen. That would be so cool. Because then I wouldn't have to run colorless builds like this. Of course, I can do whatever I want because it's colorless, but it would be more fun if I had that opportunity. So somehow I got the 2-minute door. I wasn't even trying to do it. I don't know how that happened, but luckily I get an amulet. It's part tactics, so we can keep going with that, and we get the 30 as well. I wasn't even trying to get the 2-minute, but I got it. This build is very fast, so it's going to be pretty important for me to keep enemies at bay, use the shield whenever I have to, things like that. So what I have unlocked are Wrenching Whip. I have Thunder Shield unlocked. I have a bunch of different ranged weapons unlocked, so Alchemic Carbine, Throwing Knife, Firebrands, things like that. I have all those unlocked, and then I have all the tactic skills available to unlock. So all the grenades, so Root Grenade, Ice Grenade, and Magnetic Grenade. I also have all the powers unlocked, and I have all the turrets unlocked as well. I think outside of Crusher, because Crusher is kind of pointless on this build. So for those of you who have never seen my content before, one of my biggest things that I like to do is experiment with builds. This is a series called Fun with Builds that I use to just basically mess with different things, different types of builds. Some are more of a showcase, some are more meant for being very, what's the word? Just kind of pushing the envelope in terms of what I can get away with. One of the builds, before this whole colorless thing started in 1.5, one of my most popular videos is on actually, it's really cool. It's the War Javelin and Spartan Sandals. So the Spartan Sandals was meant as like off-color support, with the hopes of getting like a colorless one at some point in the run, and that's exactly what I did. So that was pretty cool. So this one I would have done the same thing if it was still 1.4. It's just because there's so many cursed chests. Like I have like 10 or so opportunities plus no hitting bosses, and we're taking this Wrenching Whip for the rest of the game because that's about as perfect synergy as you're possibly going to get. Victims release Toxic Cloud and 100% of poison. I'm going to be knocking things out very, very, very quickly. And of course, because this is melee tactics, this is more glass cannon than usual. With melee tactics, you basically want to go as high as possible in terms of your damage, because if you don't do that, then you're going to start getting hit a lot. And when you get hit, you're up close to enemies and instead of ranged, and because of that, you're not going to have a good time. You're going to die very, very quickly. So you can see right away, like, even without initiative, I'm knocking out the protectors in like 2 hits, and that's because of that poison synergy. Anytime you get a weapon that self-synergizes, it's the best. Like magic missiles with shots leap, trail of flames, and 30% to burn. Like that's the self-synergy. So what I'm gonna do here is pretty cool, and that's one of the reasons I love Thunder Shield. Is now I have this electricity static thing going. So now I'm just knocking out all the bats and knocking out all the kamikazes. It's really cool. I love doing it. So occasionally what I'm going to do is get my Thunder Shield electricity static thing going for multiple reasons. One of the main reasons is so I can kill all these flying enemies, but the other reason is so that I can use the stun property. And all I need to do is hit the magnetic grenade, and then that's easy. That's an easy kill. Magnetic grenades repel, well, they repel grenades. So that's going to be really, really useful for me. So that bombardier actually saw me when I was going down. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to kill all these bats. Thunder Shield's amazing. I really should do like a Thunder Shield only move thing. And again, we're just going to wait for that opportunity to parry so that I can kill all these bats. It's extremely convenient. Trying to be a little too fancy with the pairing, but only take the 1 hit. We're good to go. We can just keep going. And what's nice about Wrenching Whip is that it has a really long range, and it has, not many people are aware of this, but it has both, it can hit enemies both from above and below. I mean, you have to position yourself a little bit to hit enemies from above, but what it does is that it'll actually help you in terms of, if you need to kill the bats, they have weird positioning, they kind of fly all over the map, it can be a bit confusing sometimes. So it really helps in terms of just being able to, like, you kind of hit it from above. So it's hard to explain, but essentially the whip kind of goes in an arc motion when it first strikes. so it'll end up hitting anything that kind of gets in its way. So that's really cool. Just think of like a whip, normal whip, how it arches up and then it straightens out. That's how the wrenching whip does it. And that's how the Valmont whip does it too, so you can actually kill flying enemies pretty easily. And I'm going to be making use of Predator. And now we're just going to see this shield in play. And this is... it's amazing just to watch this thing. Like, it's so good. It's such a good tactics shield. Like, it is perfect as a tactics shield. I mean, I know all shields should be part survival, but I wouldn't be upset if it ended up being, like, solely tactics. Because I've never seen anyone use this in a survival build, unless it was, like, a double shield sort of thing. But it is pretty amazing in for double shields. It's one of the common ones, actually. The other ones that are common are stuff like Punishment. I would say Punishment's the most popular one. Spike Shield's really good. Bloodthirsty's good. Parry Shield's good. Most shields are good for double shields. I would say Frontline is the only one that's not that great, but Frontline in general is pretty good. So just because it's the only brutality shield and it has a good property. So the reason I'm able to go so fast is because of this Predator mutation. And we're going to go back, unlock the key doors. And for those of you who don't know, this key door that I'm about to go through, you have to collect 3 Guardian keys, and that unlocks the blueprint for the explosive crossbow, which is an okay weapon. It was really good in 1.0, but it lost the unlimited ammo, so it's not as good now, and it's not as powerful as it really should be. But anyways, so the way you get the 3 Gardener keys, you already saw it on there, but basically you need the final 2 runes. So you need the Ram rune, which you can get in Ancient Sewers. Is it Ancient Sewers? Yeah, it is Ancient Sewers. No, not Ancient Sewers. It's an Ossuary, I'm sorry. So, and then the Spider rune, which is in Slumbering Sanctuary. So the whole process is basically when you first start the game, you can get the Vine rune, which is the way you climb up on the green things. You can get that when you hit a promenade, and once you get that, the next playthrough you use that vine in prisoner quarters and go to Toxic Sewers. And in Toxic Sewers, you get the rune for the teleportation rune, which I don't think... yeah, you've seen it. You saw it. It's the little mummy, the purple mummy thing. So you get it there, and then on the following playthrough, you use the teleportation rune at the very end of Promenade to get to Ossuary. And in Ossuary, you get the Ram rune. And then next playthrough, you use the Ram rune in Prison Depths? No. You use the Ram rune in Ancient Sewers. No. Wait, hold on. No, I'm sorry. You get it in... excuse me. You use it in Toxic Sewers. You get to Ancient Sewers. And then you fight Conjunctivius for the first time. And then you go down to... you go down... You exit the Conjunctivius fight. And then you go to the Slumbering Sanctuary. I think that's what it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then they have another rune, which you can access from Slumbering Sanctuary, which is the Forgotten Sepulchre. You can also access it from Stilt Village on your second playthrough. And yeah, so that's the Explorer's Rune. So that's whenever you see it pop up that, oh, like Explorer's Rune activated, you'll be able to see at the end of this level. But whenever you get that, then you can basically see the rest of the map. So the one problem with this build is that if I miss enemies for the first time, then the likelihood of me getting hit is very, very high. So I need to either be on my parry game, which, let's be honest, my parry game's not the best, or I have to be able to dodge quickly. Another thing I love about Wrenching Whip is that it groups enemies together. And I actually wasn't planning on aggroing that elite just yet, but I guess I did. But good news, because I had that enemies freeze thing, I was good to go on that. And that's a good use of Thunder Shield right there. I was in a compromising position due to not being able to seek certain enemies. But once I was able to do that, I was able to just use the charge property on the Thunder Shield to kill the rest of the bats that were flying around. I think they're called sewer flies, I want to say. So I debated for a while with this light speed, but I decided not to do it ultimately. I would like Magnetic Grenade more if it actually did any damage. It really should get a damage buff. Like, it's not bad as it is, it really could use something like that. So I parry just to get my charge back. And then I can stun this Slammer. And then we're going to fight the next elite. So double elites is very difficult. And I was a little delayed there. And I was lucky to only get hit the one time. It'd been a while since I took a significant hit like that. So it wasn't that big of a deal. And I'm still at 77% health, so it's not that... Is it 77? Yeah. I was only at 77% health, so I didn't take that much damage. I got a lot of lifesteal back. You can see right there, Explorer's Instinct. That's the name of the rune. That was the one that I was talking about earlier. So it'll pop up, and then you can see everything else in the map. Doesn't really matter for Prison Depth, but it matters for the rest of the levels. So you can see things like Curse Chests. You can see what enemies haven't appeared yet. There's a lot of different cool things that you can do. And so at this point, I'm going to get rid of that Magnetic Grenade because it's not doing anything for me. Pick up the Lacerating Aura because in a melee tactics build, Lacerating Aura is one of the best things that you can have. And we're going to hit up the Ancient Sewers. I don't typically go there from Prison Depths. I usually go from Corrupted Confinement, but I made a split-second decision just to hit up the Ancient Sewers. I figured, why not? I haven't done this in a while. Actually, that's not true. I did it a couple runs before, actually. So, Ancient Sewers, the big problem is going to be the tentacles. Especially, one of the problems with the tentacles is that I have a hard time seeing it sometimes. Because there's just a lot going on the screen, and then you got to pay attention to these little rumbling things. In general, I have a hard time with the tentacles. It's why I don't go to Conjunctivius that often. Because it's just generally like kind of a difficult boss. In my opinion, it's the hardest boss in the game to no-hit. I've only ever done it like 3 times, I think. And that includes Zero Boss Cell. Like, I'm just not good against it. And it's because of the tentacles, honestly. If you're going to fight Conjunctivius, I suggest taking a shield with you. Shields are your friend. I'm going to be fighting a lot of enemies up close here. And so, speak of the devil, we actually end up getting a legendary Wrenching Whip, but it doesn't have 100% to poison and explode into Toxic Cloud, so there's literally no need for me to take it. So I saw the tentacle here, but it was just acting really weird the whole time. And then I got hit twice, just adding insult to injury. Yeah, I was unhappy with that because I'd been doing so well in Ancient Sewers. And it's not a level I do typically well in. Disgusting Worms will also be a problem. The Spikers I'm not scared of because I do so much damage on this. And I'm taking out Disgusting Worms in like one hit, basically. At most two. Like, rarely do I ever have to use the third strike. So I kind of figured out how to deal with the tentacles from there. Just let it kind of walk towards me, and then I can use my shield. Something important to note, and I don't know how many people know this, but you can actually parry them from the bottom. That's really only if you can. Whatchamacallit? The reality is you can only really do it is if you have the exclamation points enabled. It's enabled by default, but not everybody uses it, so it's nearly impossible to parry otherwise. And now we're gonna do this elite and take him out quickly and just keep going. Part of getting good at Dead Cells involves you taking advantage of that spider rune. Like, you can see it right there. I used it to get out of that compromising position with the Disgusting Worm and Failed Experiment. So, knowing when to use it and like how to use it and like how to use it as an escape mechanism is the most important thing. Like, you can use it to like access like different biomes and items and stuff like that, but the most important thing is avoiding that damage. That is the number one most important thing about that spider rune, in my opinion anyways. And I didn't even talk about my mutations. Obviously I have Predator. Allows me to do this level fast because it forces me to go fast because I don't want to lose my invisibility. Initiative I don't necessarily need, but it allows me to kill enemies very, very quickly, especially the more the glass cannon type of enemies, like your shield bearers and things like that. And then Masochist, because just in case I get a like a challenge rift or something like that, like I don't really want to get hit, so I would rather like take Masochist and like, you know, spikes in other areas too. Like, for example, like I'm gonna be going to caverns here, and one of the things about caverns is that they have the lava. Last time I was in caverns with my double Voice-Ox run, I actually hit the lava and it did like about 40%. I'm running a very, very glass cannon type of build, so it's gonna end up being at like 10% health left. It'll do like 80% damage to me, so I really, really don't want to risk taking that. So Masochist is really good for that. They used to call it something else in 1.0. I cannot remember what it was called. It was something BDSM related. I have no idea what it was though. But that one was like an 80% damage reduction, which was fine, but I think this is better. Capped off at 10% is better, because technically a lot of, especially if you run like the type of builds that I run on Tactics, one shot from those spikes and you're pretty much down to 1 HP. My War Javelin Valmont's Whip run is a good example of that, because what ended up happening was that I was at 100% health, I took a single hit from a spike, and that dropped me down to 1 HP. So with Masochist, that would have been like, it would have only been 10%. But the other thing, the more important thing here, is that the 80% doesn't really apply to like things that would normally like one hit kill you, if that makes sense. And so I have not been uploading much recently, just because I haven't been playing much Dead Cells. I said this in another run that I was doing commentary for, but there were some issues with the recording and I had to delete it. Someone actually in the comments had let me know. Halfway through the run, basically the video had cut out, and I honestly don't know why. But we do get the 60 here, so I'm not that worried. And we get the 2 in tactics. That's good. Now we can just move on to the next. We can actually just go to this thing immediately. They're both essentially the same amulet, but one gives me burn on down smash, which is better. So the trick to those, if you don't have an extra jump, is right when you fall off, then you do the double jump. That's basically how to do it. And like I said, like that's the reason I took Masochist, because I got hit in that spike, and that would have done at least like 40 to 50% of my health if I hadn't had Masochist. Instead, it only did 10%. So very, very beneficial for me. And this was a small prison depths. I was really shocked when I hit the end. But I'm going to take advantage of that Explorer's Instinct, because I know that I have at least one more scroll left. Just because 20 is kind of low, especially with all my weapons being tactics, like double 2 in tactics, and I have a +2 amulet. So right there is where the scroll is, and there's another scroll fragment. And that's really important, because the thing about Conjunctivius is that it is the only boss that drops 5 scroll fragments. It drops the most out of every boss. So this is important, because if you look at the screen right now, I have 2 scroll fragments. I'm going to end up with 3. And then with Conjunctivius, I get the 5, and then that brings me up by 2 instead of 3, because every 4 it updates. Every 4 you get a legendary scroll, and from there I'll have the 3 initially, and then the 5 from Conjunctivius. That equals 8. 8 divided by 4 is 2, so that's why this was really important. And that should be it for Ancient Sewers. Again, that was just a really, really short biome. Ancient Sewers is normally a lot longer than that. Maybe it's because I'm going a lot faster than usual, but still, it was pretty short. And like I said, Conjunctivius is a really hard boss for me. I'm completely unable to no-hit it. I've accepted that a long time ago. I'm just going to try to minimize the damage as much as possible. Whether or not I actually do that remains to be seen. Spoiler alert, I'm not. I'm going to play this boss very, very badly. And I will redeem myself a little bit later. But I do make a critical mistake. I think right here? No, I was fine right here. I think it's the next one. Or at some point, I hit myself big time. See, I really thought that I had gotten the parry off. I really had thought that I got the parry off. But I also don't get another opportunity to hit him, because he brings out the tentacles. So now I'm just kind of struggling on what to do. And now that's my opportunity to use the health potion. Conjunctivius is just really annoying when it comes to just flying all over the map. Like, you could be hitting him, and then the next second you're just not. One of the unfortunate parts about Thundershield is that the little static things don't really help that much. when it comes to the tentacles because they'll just keep moving. And I'll actually show the underground parry right here. So you have actually more time than usual to do it. And we get out of this fight. I have to use a health potion, and because of that, I'm actually going to go to Graveyard because that's where the food shop is. It's not in Slumbering Sanctuary anymore for some reason. It's in Stilt Village, which I don't really understand. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Now I get 2 additional scrolls, so I'm sitting at 23, which is excellent. And this is where my Predator is really coming in handy, because that catcher actually doesn't see me, which is so convenient. It allows me to just clear out this mob so easily. And then that's the caveat, right? Because melee tactics is so glass cannon, so as soon as you get hit, you're screwed. But, you know, stuff like Predator really helps with not getting hit. The goal of melee tactics is hit hard and don't get hit. So for stuff like that, it's really, really convenient. So Predator is, I don't think it's broken. Just because if you get hit, you're kind of screwed. That jump is a little bit harder than it looks. You have to time it well if you don't have an extra jump on you, which I currently do not. At least I don't think I do. No, I don't have an extra jump. I thought I saw a challenge rift somewhere, but looks like I didn't. So we're going to bring that catcher over here, just because they're kind of annoying to deal with that protector. In reality, I probably shouldn't have sold that, just because Melee's is of little consequence in tactics runs, but I don't know why I sold it. I think I thought I was at enough health or something. As far as synergy is concerned, this build is doing just fine. The only problem is the decoy isn't really helping right now. And I rarely say that about the decoy because I still think it's one of the best overall skills in the entire game. But in this run particularly, I haven't had an opportunity to really use it much. That's actually a really hard spike puzzle. I'm very happy that I was able to get through that. So I kind of messed this up a little bit. So now I have to just duck under this catcher. So I need to wait for him to come a little bit closer until the shield wears off. And there we go. Now just take out the thing, and then I can... So I'm leaving the rest on there in case I get a curse. Well, there is a guaranteed curse, but if I get a second curse, then I'm going to be utilizing it. Because I don't want to head into Caverns or Sepulchre with a curse. I just don't like heading into levels with curses. Because it throws off the whole dynamic. Like, say, for example, you go into Caverns, and then immediately there's just a swarm of enemies, like, right as you start the level. It takes a little bit of getting used to when it comes to starting out a level, because you got to get used to, you know, how the map is generated and things like that. You don't notice it, but it becomes more and more evident as you do the run. So I'm trying to look for this curse chest as like soon as possible, but I want to make sure that I can finish off the curse before I leave this level. Like, and unfortunately for me, there is no teleporter, so I have to run all the way back. I don't know. I feel like there should always be a teleporter there, but it's not the end of the world. So we're at 63, so we're doing okay with damage. I was facing the wrong way when I was facing that cannibal, and the only reason I didn't die is because I was able to parry that little laser thing just in time. Only reason I didn't die. That could have been really, really bad for me. Inquisitors are really annoying. They just... I hate them with the burning passion. And I'm really happy that I was able to get that drumstick. Yeah, it's infected. I'm at 3 points of melees. But again, tactics and melees don't really matter at the end of the day. For me, what the bigger issue was that I was at 50% health, and like I need to go get a health potion. I didn't have that opportunity before, but now I'm doing okay with my health. I can go grab that. I can go grab the health potion when I need to, and I can go clear out this curse. So now the decoy finally does something. Except it doesn't kill all the enemies I was hoping it would. We're sitting good at damage. 27 solid for this biome. And we have more enemies that we need to kill, so I need to make sure that I do not get hit before hitting up the food shop. Luckily, the head had just enough reach to get to that protector. So down smashes count as melee. So for me, what that means is that I can down smash on enemies, and if I kill them, then I can regain my invisibility. And we have nowhere left to go except there's that one scroll fragment. I don't want to fight any of the enemies there, so I'm just going to pick it up and then run out, and then head over to my next biome. Just because I've already gotten hit once, and for me, that's just... I just don't want to deal with like another elite, because I know there's at least one more elite, because I've only battled 2. Was it only 2? Yeah, the elite cannibal, and then something else. I can't remember. Might have been only one now that I remember. So there would have been two over there. So either way, wouldn't have been a good idea for me to go all the way over there, especially because I already have 2 tactics. And I'm going to caverns. The chances of me getting a better amulet with at least 2 tactics is even better. I could even get 3 tactics in an amulet, so there's no point in me finding extra elites. The number one thing I would like to see, as far as weapon buffs and nerfs and things like that, besides Wrenching Whip becoming part tactics, which is a hill I will absolutely die on, Wings of the Crow needs a significant buff because it has a 24-second cooldown and you're only up in the air for 4 seconds and it doesn't do that much damage when you're up in the air. It's really, really bad. It is by far the worst skill in the game. Like grenades, powers, whatever. You might as well run Nightlight. Like, it's really bad. So I would either like to see a significant damage boost, like double damage, or I would like to see, or what I would like to see is this cooldown reduced by half. 12-second cooldown is good, or somewhere like in the middle. But right now, as it stands, it's really, really bad. So this is a weird jump, but I still have my speed boost, so getting up there is actually pretty easy. That extra arrow that shot out of that Wrenching Whip saved me so hard. That noise the Ground Shaker makes is very, very obnoxious. Luckily, he didn't aggro while I was stunned. It was just after. And I think that's actually what caused him to appear. But a little bit of luck right there. But we knock him out quickly. So that was nice. When you're not cursed, the best way to deal with Arbiters is to use the head. So at this point, like, I'm trying to get rid of that decoy because it hasn't been working out for me. Very rare occurrence that it doesn't happen, but it just hasn't been happening for me so far. I don't know why. Maybe I just haven't had the proper clusters, and it for sure will not work against the Giant. So, and Giant is like the only possible biome I can enter next. Very, very close to getting hit right there. And we get a +4, which that is so rare. And this is why I'm glad that I didn't fight the rest of those elites in Graveyard. because, like I said earlier, like the chances of me getting a good amulet in Caverns is very, very high. So there is literally no need for me to go fight those elites, and that paid off. That completely paid off for me because now I have a +4, and which is extremely rare. Like if I got +3, I would have been really, really happy. But +4 is just amazing. And what's nice is that it had really good stuff on the amulet. So collects goals and sells over unlimited distance is nice if I want to go fast. So I don't ever lose my invisibility. I have I've also got whatchamacallit. I have the extra jump, and I have damage reduction by 75% to projectiles. So all that is like a perfect blend for me. And I'm not going to be able to afford anything in there, so we're just going to ignore it. That was very tempting to take, but turrets aren't, like, traditional turrets aren't amazing for giant. And his back was actually turned to me, but I was able to get the kill. And that was pretty neat. The Arbiter got killed with that little thing. I didn't even see it, to be honest, but I was able to dodge just in time. I was completely helpless in that corner. I was so lucky that projectile didn't come and hit me. That toxic cloud is super important because... What happened here? Oh, okay. Yeah, because I thought I was going to get the kill on the first try. But yeah, different enemies have different health. It's a subtle difference, but sometimes it's the difference between a 1-hit KO and a 2-hit KO. And hey, the decoy finally did something for me. I love the decoy, but in this run it just wasn't doing what it needed to do. And wow, even with the 75% damage reduction, it did almost in my entire health. That shows how glass cannon I am right now. Keep in mind, again, that's 75% damage reduction. And I got a little unlucky there because the bomb was supposed to come out in front of me, but it ended up coming to the left of me, so behind me, and I couldn't parry it in time. So the 60 is looking kind of bleak right now. But confidence is unwavering. We're going to keep on doing the same thing with the Arbiter bombs. We're not going to run away from it. The best thing with this type of build is to parry it, because you're not going to run away from it. And this is some chaos right here. I have no idea how I didn't get hit there. I should have been hit, but I wasn't, and I'm grateful. And we get a nice looking kebab. And we're pretty much almost done with the level. I'm going to go for the 60. I gotta avoid that little trap first. Because that would have done a crazy amount of damage to me. Actually, I don't know. Because I have Masochist, so I don't know if Masochist applies to that. It might. It should. It's a trap, so it should. And I think at this point I was getting a little bit tired because I had been running for like 30 consecutive minutes. So I was pretty tired at this point. So I do take my break right before the giant fight. So that's nice. And my very intelligent self drops this decoy. The idea was to not to ricochet it like that. Like with the bombs, I always ricochet it, but in this case, I don't know what happened. It was just unlucky for me. Cameron is a very, very difficult level. It is very, very difficult. Like unsettlingly difficult because there's so many different variety. It's not the fact that it's like that there's a lot of enemies. There are, but it's more so of the fact that it's the variety of enemies that really does it. But I really want to get that 60. And we are not going to battle that elite because I have a +4 tactics. Literally no reason for me to do that. And we just went in there to get the 60. But there was a shop. I'm going to try to see if I can get something instead of the decoy. Another lacerating aura. I didn't turn on double items. Wouldn't have made sense there. The knife dance is what I want, but that's unfortunately not really what I get here. I cannot use the decoy, and I don't want to have to rely on the 60 door to get what I want. And unfortunately, we got a throwing knife. And I just decided to just clear this out. So now I'm trying to figure out where have I possibly missed anything. You're just looking throughout the map, and by luck, I find that knife dance, which is so critical for the giant. So we are going to go there. It is in that little hidden area where you get the blueprint for the War Javelin. So I'm going to see exactly where to go. If I fall down there, it's only 10% of my health, but it's the giant, and I need all the health that I can get. And so we take that, finally get rid of the decoy, and now we can move on to the giant. I could have gone back to the 3 BC door, or the whatever BC door that was, the one that I was saving for the curse, but it didn't make any sense to me to keep doing it. So finish the level, go on to the giant. We're good to go. And giant's going to be again one of those things where I have to just hit hard, hit fast, and just don't lose focus. I didn't get anything good in these kill doors. That's a rarity for me. Usually I rely on the kill doors to get something nice. But yeah, so this is it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but if there's one thing I should know about Giant is that if you have enough synergy, the hands go down very, very quickly. And the eyeball also, like if you're able to knock down the hands, the skills can help with the eye as well. Alright, so it's Giant time. And right away you can just see that damage. It's doing crazy amounts of damage. We whittle that thing down to half health. And we can just keep going here. That was like, what, 15 seconds? That was nuts. That was just ridiculous. Probably the best Giant fight I've ever had. And what's even better is that we're completely done with scroll fragments. I don't need to hit up High Peak Castle or anything. We can just go straight to Hand of the King. We're gonna have 39 in tactics by the time we hit up Hand of the King. This is about as glass cannon as it possibly gets, honestly. Like, I had to reset my recording because I had taken a break. But I'm only a minute into the recording, and I finished that fight at least 30 to 35 seconds ago. Like, just absolutely insane how much damage that did. And this isn't 1 BC or 0 BC. This is 5 BC. Just a crazy amount of synergy and just the right weapons. Alright, so Hand of the King time. This is going to be a bit weird just because the previous build was built for the Giant. This is also nice against Hand of the King, but it isn't necessarily the greatest thing in the world. But the nice thing is if I get hit, the Lacerating Aura will help me out. Oh, I apologize for that. There was a little bit of an issue with the recording right there, so I had to skip a little bit of that fight. But basically, after I got hit, Hand of the King just threw the bombs and whatever. I mistimed the roll pretty badly. I should have really gotten a no-hit, so a little disappointing, but I didn't die. Lacerating Aura gave me almost all my health back, so I was fine from there. Like, really not a big deal. And Astrolabe was fun. I'll just put it that way. It was just a showcase, like it was a culmination of everything that was good about this build. It was like the finale to the concert, let's say. I mean, finale before the actual finale, which is the collector fight, but ignoring that, this was the finale to the finale. Because we go so fast here. Keep in mind, like, I'm not a speedrunner. It's just not in the cards for me. I don't like speedrunning. I love watching speedruns. There's a lot of good Twitch streamers out there that do speedruns of Dead Cells and a lot of good YouTubers, and I subscribe to a lot of them, but I'm personally not a speedrunner. But I sure as hell felt like one here because of how fast this damage was occurring, and I was only 40 minutes into this, and I'm just going off right now, and it was so fun. It was so fun to play. It was so fun to actually run. And the main reason is because of Predator. If I had gotten hit, that would have done way too much damage, so. Like, just, I don't even need to do any sort of damage against that elite. Like, it's just going down like a regular enemy. I just have to do an extra hit. I'm guessing that Bomber fell to its death, so... And I'm so confident that I'm just facing that slammer just straight up, instead of, like, doing, like, running around like I usually do, especially on a tactics build. I'm more inclined to fight it on, like, a brutality build, but on a tactics build, when one hit's gonna knock me out, especially with the elite slammers, because the knockback from getting hit will lead to another hit, and that it'll 2-hit KO me, and then I'm done. But I'm so confident in this build that I'm just fighting elite slammers straight up right now. Like, it's... I fell in love with this. I knew it was a good idea when I started to run it, and I just absolutely fell in love with it as I was running it. Again, this is the case for Wrenching Whip needing to be tactics. I don't even need the third hit to knock out that failed experiment. And yeah, a lot of it is due to that toxic synergy, but at the same time, it's also just providing me with so much damage. And so here we end up in the bottom part of this castle. I don't know how, I don't know why it ended up like that, but whatever. That is a double elite slammer that I just fought straight up. Like, and there's the other elite slammer that I'm also going to be fighting straight up. And we're going to try to knock out this librarian. We missed the first time, but I know that the whip has enough, and the librarian actually comes out of that door a little bit. And if you time it right, you can get the kill, and then I was able to do that right there. And that's the nice thing about extra jumps. I legitimately was not expecting to hit that slammer. I got very close to getting hit. And we have a lot of money. We're going to try to get to a shop at some point. There was that food shop, but no need for me to take any food right now. And we hit the 40, so that was cool. I didn't even need High Peak Castle to go and do it. Because High Peak Castle you can get in, you get 2 dual stats, so you can actually end up with an extra stat. I just did that for the style points. I did it for the views. Unfortunately, because it's spoiler area, I can't really put that as a thumbnail. But, I don't know. Sometimes I like to show off. I mean, it's not a good idea. That was really stupid of me to try doing. The karma paid off right there. Karma definitely paid off for me being cocky like that. This is why I don't do stuff like that. I was very lucky that I had the 75% damage reduction. Like, super lucky. And we're just going to fight all that straight up because we are foolish. Why not, right? Why not? We already hit the elevator, so that's cool. And we're going to fight this straight up. Why not? Let's just do it. Wait for the knife dance cooldown, just fight this thing straight up. Get rid of 1, roll past, get rid of 2. Easy. My heart was pounding the entire time because I wouldn't have felt right if I had done the elevator trick, which is what I normally do. But lately I've just been fighting it straight up. I don't know why. So yeah, it was at this point where I realized, like, yeah, I need to hit up that shot. And just to clarify from earlier, like, I was mostly kidding about the cockiness. Like, I'm not actually like that. In reality, I was just playing so, like, recklessly. But I was confident, but I was also playing reckless. It's in hindsight when I'm just talking about how much I love this build, because I do. I really do love this build. I'm going to go for a better shield, and the attack after parry is really, really nice. I already have it, but a level 12 is going to be even better. So we're going to take it. It's our only level 12 weapon. We took that Wrenching Whip in Promenade, We took the Night Dancing Caverns, and we took the last rating, I want to say in... Did we take it in Prison Depths? I don't remember. I think we did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we did. But yeah, so this is the final battle. All hands on deck. Got to take the screenshot of my build to add to my collection. And if you're wondering what's next, it's going to be Hemorrhage. Hemorrhage build is up next. I actually did that before this, but this one I just had to record. But Hemorrhage is up next. It's a very, very fun build. You guys are really going to enjoy it. But we take all the health stuff, all the health things that are possible, and we take Instinct, even though, do we really need it? No, not necessarily. But 45 minutes. This is easily the fastest run I've ever had. And with Collector, essentially the deal is I gotta not play stupid. I don't know how else to put this, but the possibility for, because I've been playing very recklessly over the past several biomes, so I gotta not play super reckless against him. We're already doing a crap ton of damage. The parry didn't really work, but we already have him on the shield. And now we get the parry, right? And we have him at 2 easily before he can even do anything. Last running R is ridiculous. And I'm actually going to let this thing shoot me so I can get the parry off, so I can actually just hit this, get some extra damage off. I wanted to play it safe, just keep the shield up. And this is it. One hit just takes it out. That was really fun. Honestly, that was one of the most fun builds I've ever run, and highly recommend it. Run colorless mode. Try out different things. It's really fun. Again, thank you all for joining me. Leave a like, subscribe for more Dead Cells content. I'm going to be uploading some Pokemon at some point. And I'll leave a link to the build in the description, as well as like my Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. And yeah, thanks again for joining me. Have a great night, everybody.